beliefs and values were always consistent across all three of my children. But how I worked with Cam was really different than how I worked with Maeve. You know, like Camden, my oldest, struggled a little bit with some learning challenges as well as ADHD, which really plays a lot into their relationship with technology. And then Ian, my middle one, is like Mr. Happy, and he works to please people. Where you've ever met. She's very tightly wound, super achiever, which sounds great, but that brings its own bag of tricks with it, like anxiety, fear of failure. She's always horribly worried about getting in trouble and things like that. So you take this knowledge, and I think one of the most important things is meeting your children where each one of them are. And I think one of the biggest mistakes we make as parents is thinking that this is how I parent, and I will do it with this child and that child and that child. And we as the adults need to figure out how to make them, how to connect with them. The philosophies that I present all of this, hi, welcome back. The philosophies that I work under, there's three really big ones. Parenting versus technology. How many of you, when you came tonight, thought we were going to talk about tech? Technology problems are things like, I'm so glad Evans is here because he got all of that stuff. I handed him a zip drive and he went poof in that up here. That's tech. Like, I can't get my computer to connect to the internet. The printer won't work. By the way, always just reboot. But really, for our children, the reason why we're here isn't because we can't get them to figure out how to work the devices. It's what the devices are bringing to them exponentially. Like, I can't, the thing, what they're really challenging our kids on are their relationships, their values, their communication, their body image, their self-respect. You have a 13-year-old daughter that's sitting on Instagram or TikTok, and she's looking at all these pictures of influencers and beauty routines and exercise routines, and all of a sudden, your daughter's not really eating as much anymore. She's starting to go out and exercise twice a day. You scratch your head and go, what's going on? Well, she's getting a lot of messaging. We talked already a little bit over there about algorithms. Maybe your daughter, who had no eating disorders or body dysmorphia or anything like that, went online to find out about a good running routine because she was interested in being healthy. And now the algorithm figures out that she's a 13-year-old girl living, for me, in the suburbs of Chicago. You know what we know about 13-year-old girls that look up information about running? Maybe we can build some, what's the right word? Doubt as to their body image and create a problem. And that's what a lot of the algorithms do. And all of a sudden now, the system, she's not looking for it anymore, but it's just coming up continuously and it just keeps playing on her. So when, like, a lot of parents come in and they just say, I don't understand technology, I don't use social media, I don't know what they're doing. I say, that's okay, you're here, and that's great. But here's the thing. You might feel like my kid knows so much more than me on this, and that's another problem, is that parents feel intimidated when they try and have conversations with their kids about technology. So they're like, I tried to have that talk that you talked about, and I said, yeah, and you know what we talked about? We talked about sexual tolerance, friendships, and communication. You tell me to talk about those three things and get a 15-year-old boy to look at you and go, I never thought about that. And it's all because it started on that, kind of centered around a very concrete Facebook thing. So if you can have, and just let them feel comfortable that you know what you're talking about a little bit, this could be a really nice path into conversations that you want to be having at the end of the day, not that you have to be having. So parenting versus technology really is about the fact that we're talking about this. The next one is conversation. I am a big advocate that the best way to prepare them to be independent online is through ongoing conversation. So you'll see, I'll just go under one parents say, oh, no. We when I got Johnny, actually, when I got Peter, a station, and he has a conversation. they change. So how a sixth grader is using, and that's where it gets tricky, because my experience is that kids inherently are defensive about their newer. When they're doubting who they are, when they have mistakenly sent a picture to someone who they thought was a friend, it's not a friend, and now they're being extorted. Yeah, they're killing themselves because in their mind, their life is over. Because people like me do such a good job telling them, like, don't screw this up. These things are lifelong problems. I don't tell kids that. But in fact, I tell them, no mistake you make online is unrecoverable. Never panic. And that's a feed in. Reach out to an adult in your life. Ask for help. Please ask for help. That's a strong message. And number two, I don't say don't take your life, but that's how I say it indirectly. Like, you can recover. But in their brains, like, I think all of us could say, like, Alex, I'm going to use you as an example because I overheard a little something. I didn't even understand what the conversation was. But one of you said, what about so-and-so? And she said, I don't even want to talk about that. That was a mistake I made or something. This is life-changing, altering. And almost every single one of those, I've looked back in 6 months and gone, meh.
What was that?
Yeah, it was a blip, but they don't know that. It seems that's life experience that they don't have. So a lot of times we as parents